Oh, that was sweet. Funny you guys do on that.
Here, down the spot. Good afternoon. Welcome to Beavercreek Rotary. I'd like to thank our greeters, Stephen Brown and Stephen Brown, Eric Marcus for being our ticket master, Mike Zwick, Pete Bells, and Mark Weinstein for our great programs, Jim Gundel and Alex O'Hara for our website and YouTube. I'd like to invite Denny Jarvie up for the invocation.
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon. Would you please join me? Blessed are you, O Lord, God of creation. You feed the whole world with your goodness and your grace, with your kindness and your mercy. You nourish and sustain us and go to do good will for all of us. God bless you for this food, for our use, for our bodies, and for your Rotary service. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Secretary's report, David Cusack.
We still have people coming in, but as of now, between online and people present in the hallway, we have 52.8% and no guests signed in yet.
All right. Thank you very much. Sergeant at Arms already standing. Donna Adams. Come on, guys. All right, that was too much. That was too much.
Good after morning. No, it is. Today's April 29th. It's also National Hairball Awareness Day. National Arbor Day. National Poem in Your Pocket Day. National Historic Marker Day. National Peace Rose Day. National Shrimp Scampi Day. And National Zipper Day. So that was not a hint, right? On this day in history, in 1927, the Spirit of St. Louis was completed. That was the one Charles Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic. In 1945, the U.S. Army liberated 31,601 people from Dachau concentration camp in Germany. And in 1945, the conscientious objector Desmond Doss, who the movie Hacksaw Ridge was about, saved approximately 75 wounded soldiers at the Battle of Okinawa at Hacksaw Ridge. In 1990, the wrecking balls began tearing down the Berlin Wall and Brandenburg Gate. In 1961, ABC's Wide World of Sports debuted The Thrill of Victory and the Agony of Defeat. I can still see that guy falling off the ski jump. In 1995, the longest sausage ever created was made in Kitchener, Ontario. It was 28.77 miles long. I'm not sure who measured that or why, but. And in 2020, the world's record for the longest single lightning flash of 477 miles. It went across the states of Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Yeah, here's another one. Who measured that? A couple of things here in Rotary. I missed this. I should have brought it up last week, but David Cusack had a birthday last Saturday. Dan Tobias had a birthday on the 27th. And Andrew Hunt has a 1-year anniversary in the club. Couple of things in the local news. Fraud's on the rise, according to the Federal Trade Commission. The FTC last year said that consumers lost $6 billion to fraud, which is 70% increase over 2020. One of those things happened close to home with a gentleman up in Miami County. Almost lost his home because somebody tried to take it over, got his title changed to their name. It's known as a quitclaim deed fraud. There is a way that you can hopefully prevent that. They say you can go to the county recorder's office and ask to be notified if someone tries to switch your deed. And it's probably not a bad idea because I understand that's something that's happening more and more. Also, there's a scam with the Beavercreek Police Department. They say that people are calling up demanding money, saying they're police officers. That's not true. If they call you up, don't just ignore it, hang up on them. Kings Island and our Rotary Club have something in common. We're both turning 50 years old today, or this week, or this year, I guess. Dayton businessman Larry Connor, who's also an astronaut now, got back Wednesday from his extended stay in the way up there. I know Larry Connor. He's down with the Wright Flyer where I am, and he's now the only person that's been to the space station and to the Marianas Trench. So he's been to the highest point and the lowest point. And he also only paid $55 million for the pilot seat on that flight. This coming Sunday afternoon will be a family fun day at the Beavercreek High School. Those activities start at 12 o'clock, go to 4, so come on out and do that. And then on Saturday, May 7th, Friends Show Choir, who was here to see us back in December, is having their 50th anniversary block party at the high school from 4 to 7 with their finale in the auditorium from 7 to 9. I can't do this without doing a couple of weird laws. I can't imagine some of these being on the books. In Oklahoma, you can be arrested for making ugly faces at dogs. In Pennsylvania, it's against the law to tie a dollar bill on a string on the ground and pull it away from someone who tries to pick it up. In Louisiana, biting someone with your natural teeth is considered simple assault. But biting someone with dentures, that's aggravated assault. In Massachusetts, it's illegal to go to bed without first having a bath. However, another law prohibits bathing on Sunday. In Samoa, it's a crime to forget your own wife's birthday. It is here too. In Australia, it's illegal to name any animal you plan to eat. In Washington, pretending to have wealthy parents is illegal. And Randy, this is for you. In St. Louis, Missouri, if a woman is in her night clothes, it's illegal for a fireman to rescue her.
Really?
In Burma, it's against the law to access the internet. Anyone who does so faces prison. In Minnesota, it's against the law to hang male and female underwear together on the same washing line. And in Connecticut, a pickle is not a pickle unless it bounces. A couple of interesting facts. The beloved mayor of Cormorant, a small township in Minnesota, retired this past summer after 4 consecutive terms in office. As much as he loved his civil service, he was getting too old for the job. He was 91, if you put it in dog years. In fact, Duke, the big shaggy Great Pyrenees dog, was first elected in 2014 and continued to win elections until announcing his retirement in 2018. Duke plans to write a book about his legacy about being a very good boy. I found this interesting. A shot of espresso contains less caffeine than a cup of coffee. And for you cat lovers in here, the CIA once tried to create spy cats. They would put microphones on them. They called them the acoustic kitty. They gave it up because they realized just how difficult it was to train cats. And this was kind of interesting. Wasps attack when they're drunk. If you've noticed that wasps seem to be more aggressive in the late summer, it's not just because you're outside more often. Worker wasps have a single job, and that's to supply their queen with nectar. When they've stored up all they can, they have nothing to do. So they do what many of us might They get buzzed on fermented fruit. They feast on the fruit that's fallen from the tree, and in their drunken stupor think it's a good idea to attack something much bigger than they are. Once my father came home and found me in front of a roaring fire. That made him really mad. We didn't have a fireplace. The husband and wife were talking. Your mother has been with us 20 years, says John. Isn't it time she found a place of her own? My mother, I thought she was yours. One of the oddities of Wall Street is the dealer and not the customer are called broker. And calzone is just an Italian word to make you feel better about eating a Hot Pocket in public. I can't stop thinking about the people who first started to eat mushrooms and found that they had to go through the trial and error of this one tastes like beef. This one killed Brian immediately. And this one makes me see God for a week. I love bacon because you can wrap it around anything. Basically, it's a duct tape of food. I'll never forget the look on the cashier's face when she scanned the packet of birdseed and I said, how long does it take to grow birds after I plant these? My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not the one who married me. I finally figured out what I want to be when I get older, younger. And Steve, is for you, golf is the adult version of an Easter egg hunt. Hangovers only last a day, but a good drinking story lasts a lifetime. I'll leave you with a couple of thoughts. With the right music, you can either forget everything or you can remember everything. Count your age by friends, not years. Count your life by smiles and not tears. And in today's fines, if you have a poem in your pocket, that's $1. If you watch Wide World of Sports, that's $1. If you've ever bounced a pickle, that's $1. If you've ever been stung by a wasp, that's $1. And if you're not wearing your Rotary pin, that's $1. Before I turn it over to Stephen, though, I just want to remind everyone that next Tuesday is the first of 2 primaries this year. City of Beavercreek has something important on that ballot. I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but please go out and vote. Steve?
Thank you very much. Let's actually give a round of applause to Don real quick. I really appreciate you taking over and doing this and volunteering doing this. I know it's a lot of work coming up with jokes, so thank you very much. You've done a great job, so much appreciated. Happy Bucks, who's happy? Oh, Dave?
Yeah, so my younger of 2 sons finished his junior year at Wright State, so theoretically we are a year away from having both boys to college graduates.
Wow. Huge congrats. We'll have to thank Beth later for that. Anyone else? Rick?
Now that Dave's gone, I got a few bucks now because he's not always finding me. I got several things, and I thought Dave was going to announce something. $1 buck for tonight's spring fling to assist the fundraising for the Greene County Family Violence Prevention Center, which is a great program. Dave's the president, and it addresses something that nobody wants to talk about in our society, and that's violence and the family. Second, got my brother Rob here. He's 2 Purple Hearts. Rob's store, very proud of him. He's an Army major, and we're going to go over to the Greene County, jump Greene County. I think many of you know of Pee Wee Martin. 101st birthday, and they're doing a celebration over there, so there's a buck for that. They're going to have Greene County's first ever, I didn't know if you were going to say something about this, Veterans Hall of Fame Saturday.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to start that. We got so many great veterans here in the county that do so much for so many people. So that, kudos to our veteran services coming up with that. So that, I think that's $3. If it was David.
We'll make it 5. We'll make it 5.
$3. I have no devices, no boots, for the first time, so that's gotta be another buck. And this weekend, I have one grandson's baptism on Saturday or Sunday, and the other grandson's first communion on Saturday or Sunday, whatever. So what's that about?
So you're at $5 now.
I'll write
Yeah, that's really exciting. So I actually got to sit with Pee Wee Martin at his house with unfortunately, his wife passed away, I think, 4 years ago or so. But I sat down with him and his wife, what I thought was going to be, a 45-minute meet and greet. I was there for like 3 hours. Super nice guy, obviously a really interesting story. And I believe he was in 101st Airborne. So with it being 100, him being 101, what a milestone. So
We'll play on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you for sharing. Who is that?
Yeah.
Is that Brandon?
Dallas cleans up. Put it on fit, so, 2 things, Hunter slept 7 hours last night.
Woo!
I didn't know it was possible, it was great, man. And, 2, I finished my semester this week, I have 2 more finals between the end of the weekend, so a lot of work to do between the end of the weekend, but I'll be halfway through my MBA, so getting there.
Wow, congrats. You look smarter today, so. Anyone else? Shannon, what do you got for us, sir?
Oh, man, I got 2 today, I guess. So last night, we got to celebrate Isaac's birthday a little bit early. Went to a, whatever the hockey team is in Columbus.
Blue Jackets?
Blue Jackets. That was pretty cool. They won, always a good thing. Got to eat at a Brazilian steakhouse. If you've never done that, that's pretty overwhelming. You just keep coming to your table and shaving off fresh meat off of a big old sword. So that's pretty cool. My other happy part is for getting ready to do our district service project. Big thanks to Beth for everything she's done to help set that up. I love when I can go and work and I have to think about all the other parts involved. So
Doesn't happen often, probably.
yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Let's do the drawing here. The winning ticket number is 0336.
What is it?
0336. All right, our greeter. Yeah.
Oh,
Dick didn't remind you, so it's actually his fault.
I apologize.
Oh, you're good. I was extra good today. All right. Just a reminder, half our proceeds goes to our annual Christmas basket. We do have a couple of quick announcements. Following this meeting today, we do have a board meeting. We're going to be going over some of the Founders Day events. So if you are a part of that or you'd like to join, or if you're not a part of that, you can still join us. So after today's meeting, and then of course, reminder, Founders Day. So next Friday, if you show up here at noon, Steve will greet you, but there won't be any lunch. So I probably wouldn't show up here. But Country Club of the North, 5:30 next Friday. So really excited. We actually have some pretty neat programs. We have someone coming to sing the national anthem. So they're with the Air Force Band. So huge thanks to Mike Zwick and Don Adams for working that out. But if you have not signed up, please go online and sign up. As Shannon mentioned, we're really excited about tomorrow morning. So we have our day of service project. I believe check-ins at 8 to 9.
8 to 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you'll get your assignment if you're registered. You have a minor, you have a waiver form on file. And we'll conclude at 12:30.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So you have that information in your email. If you didn't sign up, it's too late to sign up. But you could show up still.
You can
So
still show up.
there you go. Other than that, yeah, that's it. So I'd like to invite Pete Bales up to introduce our speaker today. Thank you, sir.
We have another great speaker today. I'm happy to introduce Steve Click, the head golf pro here at Beavercreek Golf Club. Steve and I have known each other for probably 25 years or so.
1995.
Since 1995, absolutely. And so we have a lot of stories between the two of us, and we share a lot of common interests in the game of golf. And so let me read you a little bit about Steve. He was originally hired as a golf pro by Midwest Golf Group back in 1995, prior to this course being opened in 1996. He and his wife, Michelle, were retained by the city as independent contractors to manage this facility when the agreement between Midwest Golf and the city was terminated prior to opening. Previous city manager decided to bring in another management group, Shaker Golf Group, to oversee management of the facility on behalf of the city, and Steve and his wife's employment were then terminated. From 1998 to 2003, Steve became the head professional at Sycamore Creek Country Club in Springboro and Beckett Ridge Country Club in Westchester. And during the winter of 2004, the city of Beavercreek terminated their agreement with Shaker Golf Group here and decided that they would manage this facility on their own. So Steve was then rehired as the city's new director of operations. And that was with the club in 2004. So this year marks his 18th season here and his 29th year as a PGA professional. So please let's give a warm welcome to Steve Click.
I know, that's right. Thank you, Pete. I am actually the longest tenured professional here at this facility, believe it or not. When I was hired back in 2004, the longest previous person in my position was 2 years, I believe. So I'm pretty happy to be here for 18. I certainly appreciate the support that council and city managers. I'm on my third one now since I've been here, for the continued support. And I'm pleased to announce that next year in February, this golf course is paid for. The last payment, the debt service is paid in February next year, so the golf course will be completely debt free. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that we are going to do this year and how we've been allowed to allocate capital dollars. And I'll walk you through some of those areas, and then I'm going to actually open it up for questions and answers. So if anybody has any questions that you'd like to ask me, I'll be happy to answer them for you. But new for this year, we are actually in the process of waiting on our new golf carts. So the golf carts that we currently have are leased. The lease was up. Every 4 years, we enter into a new lease agreement, so we always have fresh carts. Well, due to the supply chain and the delays, we're going to be delayed getting our new carts until September. So these golf carts that we have all have brand new batteries in them, which will get us through till our new carts come, because they had, although they were 4 years old, they really had 6 years worth of play, because we had a COVID year, we had single rider carts, so a lot of the carts went out way more than they're used to going out. So we have a 4-year fleet that actually has 6 years of play on it. Our new golf carts are going to be platinum silver with a black canopy and a black rain hood on the back. So they're going to look really sharp. Every golf cart this coming in is going to have GPS. So when you're out playing, you'll have yardages. You won't necessarily have to have your own rangefinder. A couple of things about that is, one, is it should help the pace of play because you're going to actually have your yardage on your cart. And two, it's going to help us in the evening when we're waiting on carts to come in, we'll know where all those carts are. The other thing that we'll be able to do is when we are on the cart path, we'll be able to see if a cart goes off the path. So it's a good little checks and balances. We have the new staging area that we created down below. So the flow is going to be much easier. Rather than staging carts up top where people walk in, have to turn around, walk back out and go, we're going to continue doing it the way we're doing it now. So you'll come in, check in, walk down the steps in the golf shop, your golf cart's gonna be right there, then you can go up to your car and get your clubs. So it's gonna expedite things, the flow's gonna be a little bit easier. And that way we have our cart staging area next to where we're going to be returning the carts for our guys to clean. Also new for this year, we are entering into agreement, we did enter into agreement, we're in the process of getting everything going live, is we now have a new POS system. The nice thing about this system is we now have a new interactive website. I don't know if anybody's visited our new website, but it has been completely redone. The nice thing is when you go to the website, there's actually a drone flyover of the entire golf course. Our website looks really, really good. The other thing is now the online tee times is up and going. It's new and improved, and it's so much easier than it has been in the past. So as a person who's making online tee times, you can make tee times 7 days in advance. When you go in, you only have to go in once, create your user ID it will automatically default to our non-resident rate. When you check into the golf shop, they can change it to the senior rate, resident rate in the shop. That point moving forward, anytime you go online, it will automatically default to what you are in our system. So that way there's never a question as to what you're paying when you get in. So if you're a senior, you make a tee time online, it will automatically default to $39 when you come in the shop. Boys will check you in. It's going to expedite things quite nicely. As a pass holder, you get to make tee times 14 days in advance. So pass holders can go in, they'll see the calendar for 14 days. General public, 7 days, which is really nice. You're also going to see a Beavercreek Golf Club app that you'll be able to download to your phone. That'll be tied directly to the tee times. So rather than having to get online, you can actually go to the app and book your tee time online on the app, which is nice. We also can send out discount codes. We can also send out shop sales. We can send out a whole bunch of different messages to get our message across as opposed to just doing it on Facebook and Instagram and just putting stuff up around the shop. The other thing that you're going to see is the beverage cart gals will have iPads this year. So they're not going to have to do things manually. So it's going to be much more efficient, much more user-friendly. The iPads will be out there. We're also going to have an iPad in the brew room. So when you check in, you can leave your tip on that. It's going to be pretty much like going to a restaurant now. You stick your card in, leave the tip, and you're all done. So those are pretty exciting things, especially the staff's looking forward to that because it just makes things a little bit more efficient. Phase 2 of the practice range renovation is, of some of you have seen when you pull in, the poles are in the back of the parking lot. Those have arrived. The plan is that we're going to add a pole from where the current netting is now, coming up towards the tee box, and then we're going to angle it towards the backside of the practice range. We added a phase 2 because the practice range is so busy now. In years past, we averaged $35,000 to $37,000 a year on the practice range. Because for most of the year, we had to keep it closed because it was either, we didn't have the mats, so we were on grass, so we would close it. When the snow comes, we would close it. So we really only had that range open for 8, maybe 9 months. So in phase 1 of the netting that we did last year, we spent $20,000 on concrete pads, $20,000 on the mats, and $37,000 for the net installation, which was a total expense of $77,000. The range brought in $93,565. So our return on our investment was less than a year. And at the current pace that we're going, that range will exceed $100,000 this year in revenue, which is nice because phase 2 is only going to be $57,000. So we're going to have an expense of $57,000 this year for phase 2 of the netting. The mats and everything already paid for. If we bring in another $100,000, that would be a nice little $43,000 above our expenses. So our return on that investment will be less than a year as well. So a $125,000 investment will be paid off in less than 2 years, which is nice. As far as busyness of this facility goes, last year we had 51 golf outings on the books. This year we have 55. So we've added 4 more golf outings, but that 51 golf outings last year generated revenue of $128,000. Yeah. And so when we add 4 more at an average of about 9, that's another 37. You're looking at almost $160,000 just in golf outing revenue. So that is by far one of the most profitable things that we do on the golf side. We also have, and for those of you who've been out here on the weekday, we've added a couple of leagues because when Kitty Hawk closed, those players had to come somewhere. So last year they came and they've all decided to come back. So this year, between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to average 315 league rounds per week, every week. So if you do the math on that one, and that's up from 2021, our league play last year generated $70,000. So we're going to be up again from this year. So we're going to exceed the $80,000 mark just in league play. So between outings and leagues, it's a little over $200,000 of our revenue. Considering we did $925,000 alone last year, just in green fees and cart fees. So pretty active place for sure. Let's talk a little bit about food and beverage. So last year, I've been here 18 seasons, starting my 19th. Last year was the first time ever that the food and beverage had a net operational profit. Ever. And it was, a lot of it had to do with the reorganization. Yes, was it nice when we did everything in-house? It was absolutely nice because we had an amazing chef and we had a really good team. The issue we had is coming out of COVID, what were the events going to look like? How many events were we going to have? And can we sustain a $250,000 payroll with benefits to have events here and there? So we decided to do a reorganization. We tried it last year, being a rental facility that offered beverage package options and then allowed folks to bring in their own catering. So we decided that we're going to run that same reorganization this year, but we may look at a few other options moving forward into 2023. I won't really go into any details there, but we're going to take a look at some other options, and if those options are feasible, we'll do it. If not, we'll continue to do it the way that we're doing. But we will continue, excuse me, to be as efficient as we can on that side of the house for sure. And we'll analyze we discuss it every other week in meetings. So we continuously, it's just a floating document. We're just going to continue to keep our eye on it. And we'll go, and you can ask me questions if you want regarding the food and beverage side. I know a lot of folks miss it, but if we're looking at it from a dollars and cents standpoint, the reorganization came at a really good time. And then lastly, I'm pleased to announce that we will once again be recognized as a certified Audubon Society sanctuary golf course, which is quite an accomplishment considering there are only 17 of those recognized in the state of Ohio, and there's only 915 of them in the world, not the state or the United States. The entire world was only 1,915 recognized Audubon certified facilities, and we are one of them. To reach that certification, you've got to demonstrate that you're maintaining a high degree of environmental quality in a number of areas, including environmental planning, wildlife and habitat, management, outreach and education. Chemical use is a huge one for us because we put a lot of chemicals on this golf course, and safety, water conservation, and water quality management. So what happens is they actually, the Audubon Society will actually come in and test our water at random periods throughout the year. Generally, it could be 3 to 4 times a year. It's usually no fewer than 5. And each time in the last 7 years since we've been recognized, we have passed those tests. The water actually leaves here cleaner than when it got here. So that's that's a pretty good accomplishment. So very proud of that fact. So we try to be very environmentally friendly to that around us. And that's kind of where we're at. I mean, last year we did just shy of 32,000 rounds of golf. We'll probably do the same thing again this year. And with the golf course debt being gone, I would say that we will be extremely close to breaking even or having an operational profit once the debt service is gone. And so I'm going to go ahead and just open it up to questions. You guys are welcome to ask me any questions that you'd like. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Pete?
Steve, I got some kudos yesterday on your women's poll. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about some of the teaching that you do, both the
Oh,
clinics and
certainly.
also with the kids too.
Yep. So that's a good point. So we offer several different clinics and camps for various players of levels or levels of all skills. So Joe does a beginners ladies clinic that we offer, and he'll gather, I think he's got 12 in this group. So it's usually a 12-to-1 student teacher ratio, and it runs over a 4-week period where he will take them down and we basically go over grip, stance, posture, setup, short game, long game, putting, and then we turn them loose. Our junior program, we are getting ready to start I've been here 18 years. This will be our 18th season of the junior camp, with the exception of the year that COVID hit. Our junior camps are already full. They're completely closed. We have a waiting list now. So we limited it to the first 60 to sign up. We're doing a session in June and a session in July. So that's 120 kids. It's completely full. It filled up in less than 2 weeks. So in the past we would do upwards of 80, but we really have to limit it to 60 with the amount of play that we get, trying to get the kids on the practice range, to the putting green, and on the golf course. We had to come up with a way to limit it, so that's what we're going to do too. So on average, over the last 18 years, we've done 2 camps a year, averaging 140 to 180 kids per year. I'm pleased to say that a lot of those kids have attended our camp and now play high school golf. So Jack Bales is a perfect example. He came through the program, decided he fell in love with golf and decided to go out for the team, and now he plays high school golf. Some of those kids that started with us 18 years ago have not only gone on to play high school golf, some of them have gone on to play college golf, which is really quite nice. And some of them actually work in the shop with us now. So those relationships are fun to foster. It's great to learn the kids' names, get to see them grow up. And so, yeah, so we offer that. For those of you who don't know, I do a lot of club fitting. I'm a top 100 paint fitter in the United States. So anybody that wants to get fit for equipment, Mr. Adams has done that. Pete Bills has done that with me. Rick, you've done that with me. I basically fit equipment for you to play better. It'd be like you wouldn't go out and buy a car without test driving it. So why would you buy equipment without getting fit for it, making sure that it fits you? So that's a great question. Thanks, Pete. Yes, sir.
I've got a couple. I used to live right here, so I may have played hole 14 many times.
Oh,
sorry.
That's okay.
And hole 13, best sledding in Beavercreek.
It is.
Trust me, it's good. So I want to ask 2 questions. First one is just like, I know maybe some of your bosses are here, but where does Beavercreek Golf Course like rank, both like locally, regionally, kind of so on?
Well, we haven't done it in a while. Golf Digest hasn't, but at one time we were a 4.5-star facility. So I would say in the public golf course realm, I would say that we're in the top 10 best golf courses in the state of Ohio. I jokingly said this to Steve Marino the other day because he and I are good friends at Yankee Trace. If you drive by Yankee Trace, their sign says top 5 golf courses in the state of Ohio. And I said, apparently when you have an electronic sign, you can just put whatever you want. Yeah. We're working on that. It has to be an identification monument. That's the thing.
We can make that happen.
Yes.
My second
Yes,
question
sir.
is, so like I work for the Airport Marathon, a lot of people always say like, how does that work? Like, and I have to explain, we're kind of like a small business within the US government, with tax dollars. So that's kind of my question is, how does like running a golf course work for a city, like the financial structure, and like what is your like we don't exist to make money, but we also don't really exist to lose it.
No.
So what's it for like?
So you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. We're deemed to be an enterprise fund. So we're expected to at least operate at a break-even point. Now, there's been many years where we didn't, and when we did not, the difference came directly out of the general fund to offset the difference, which created a due from at one point, which means that if you borrow from the general fund, you have to return it and give it back. That all gets done with Mr. Casera and the financial team there. So I just know that each year, an independent audit team comes in to audit the golf course to check our books. And for 18 years, we've balanced to the penny. So I'd like to think that we're extremely good stewards of the community. Yeah, there are times that it's hard when you have a lot of expenses going out and not a lot of revenue coming in. You're gonna have years where you have a financial loss and you have to be able to cover that loss. And we're fortunate that it comes out of the general fund, but then that money gets put back in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect. So, just going off that real quick, so can you kind of explain how popular and profitable golf courses were in '95 versus when it started declining?
I can speak a little bit to that. So a lot of the golf courses, I'll give you, for example, Yankee Trace and Heatherwood, they owned all the property around the golf course. So as lots sold, that money then went back into the general fund so that they could then turn around and either do capital expenses and or pay off their notes sooner. So that's one way that golf course can be more profitable, especially if you own that land in and around that, which obviously adds a great asset, one, to your community and increases your property value. But it's hard in golf, just in any business, to be profitable because one, you have to maximize your revenue, but everybody views golf as a hobby. Well, I view it as my business. So everybody wants to play at the most reduced rate and play an immaculate golf course, but they don't want to pay what it takes to make that golf course, to manage that golf course. So there's a fine medium, there's a fine line between, okay, if I have $500,000 in golf course expenses and I have $500,000 maintenance budget, that's $1 million that we have to just bring in golf revenue just to break even. So you have to manage the payroll, you have to manage the time, manage the chemicals on that side. And then obviously you have to be able to bring in business. And in our case, big outings, because we receive higher end dollars for outings because we close the golf course. So we charge a higher dollar amount per person to do an outing than if we don't do an outing. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes, sir.
How do you decide when and how do you budget to replace the cart paths? Because I've noticed some that are really in great shape.
Yes.
The new ones.
So this year we have $80,000 budgeted for cart path renovation. So that infrastructure has been incredibly important to us. We had a 5-year plan, and then there were times when we said, okay, that has to be put on hold because dollars have to be allocated somewhere else. So the infrastructure is important. So last year we spent $55,000 on cart paths, which is where you see some, like on hole 7, that's all fresh. Your hole number 4 is getting done this year. So 3, 4, and 5 is allocated this year. That linear feet is all going to be done.
If I could follow up, because I thought you guys did a phenomenal job of keeping the golf course up and where people were coming during the pandemic and playing here because they couldn't play anyplace else. But will the new carts keep those guys from going past the pole where it says leave here and driving on the backside of the green? I swear to God, one of those carts is going to fall over into off the hill, and a couple of them were there this morning.
Yeah.
I'd like to just take a beat.
We actually, it's funny you say that because there is a way, because they are GPS, that we could literally, if we say we're on the path, that if they leave the path, that cart will shut down. It'll shut off. And they'll have to put it in reverse and back up and go back to the cart path.
I've played the course south is like that. The first time it happens, I wasn't past that.
Yeah, so
You
a lot
have to
of
be
that.
careful where you place the sign because you drive over and say, well, I'm safe. And then
Exactly.
the car stops running.
The car stops running. And some of that has to do, and it may very well be that sometimes our starters and rangers can do a little bit better job of educating on the first tee that says, hey, when you come off the tee box, and you get to that post that has the green top, then you can go wherever you want. But when you get up to that post that has the red top, we just ask that you take it over to the cart path. Yeah.
I wish I had $1 for everybody that goes on the cart on the back side, the downhill side of number 4.
On number 4, yeah.
They look like they're gonna fall into.
You and me both. Yeah. If we had $1 for that, we wouldn't be having
You
this
can repay
conversation
all
today.
this.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So how much was your debt service annually on an average, say over the last, say, 5 years?
$945,000 a year.
That's gonna save you that much cash out?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Now, some of that's principal, some of it's
Some of it's principal, some of it was interest, but that note will go away. So the idea is that we're trying to, our 5-year plan, we're gonna try to earmark 250,000 of that 945 that will come back to the golf course to reinvest in capital. So whether it's car path renovation, whether it's another phase of the netting on the practice range, whether it's redoing all the bunkers, whatever that looks like, I don't expect 345,000 to come back, but it would be nice to allocate 250 every year for capital and then start doing some other projects.
Does some of that have to go back to pay back the general fund as well?
And it does. Yes, sir.
You know that, at the height of the Tiger Woods era, that we built a ton of golf courses and that created a problem for the business, right? There was-
Correct.
And do you see that right sizing? And then I know that some places have closed and turned to residential and so forth.
Some places have closed. There are actually 2 golf courses in Dayton that are trying to resurrect themselves because they think that they're going to jump on the bandwagon because people have to play somewhere. So Sebastian Hills out in Xenia just tried to reopen. And then the same group that used to own Moss Creek just opened under a different name to try to reopen. It's hard. I mean, if you think about it, we did 32,000 rounds of golf last year. Heatherwood did 35. The Yankee Trace did 20. They have 27 holes and they did like 60. So there's 35, 32 is 67 and another, there's 100. So they got 3 golf courses owned by city entities that are competing for 150,000 rounds of golf. So the idea is that we have to try to separate ourselves from Yankee and Heatherwood and do something that they don't, that makes people want to come here. And it's unfortunate that Kitty Hawk closed because that was a good public golf course and I'm sure that they got a lot of play. But we're fortunate that we reap the rewards, unfortunately, that somebody had to lose their job and the golf course closed, but we reap the revenue from them closing because they chose to come here. And this actually will be the 3rd year that a lot of the leagues have come. So quite honestly, them closing actually produced an additional $30,000 to $45,000 extra a year for Beavercreek because those players came here. But yeah, I mean, I don't see any people building any new golf courses. You may try to resurrect some that may have gone away, but I don't think that you're going to see people building new golf facilities or public golf courses or private clubs anymore now. I don't.
Is Kitty Hawk the one that was like North Dayton-ish?
Kettering, yep. So they had Kitty Hawk, they have community.
No, what's the one I'm thinking of that was kind of like you did over by the casino?
That's Kitty Hawk.
That was, okay. That was Kettering?
That's not Kettering. It's the city of Dayton,
City of Dayton,
but
okay.
it's near the Kettering, like, it's in the, and like, no, okay. I never played it, so.
2 suggestions.
Yes, sir.
One, definitely get machines for the winter, virtual golf. And 2,
We're
have you
discussing that.
thought about putting a bar out by the driving range?
We're talking, there's discussion. Being politically correct. To possibly expand the grill room and make it more user-friendly. I mean, it's busy now. I mean, if you came in here last night after elite night, I left here at 7:15. There were 40 guys in there drinking beer with all 3 of the TVs on, which is exactly what that's supposed to be. So the question then is do we get simulators maybe in that banquet room there, open up that bar, make a circular bar and create a bigger atmosphere for the grill room bar area. And then maybe then that adds to us bringing in a chef or a cook that says, okay, now that we have more traffic and revenue, now it substantiates us bringing in a cook and we can offer more menu items. Yes, sir.
I did think that I just heard Stephen Brown say he would run the Stephen Brown.
Or the city barbecue bar sponsored by.
Out of curiosity, so what other golf courses around here has virtual golf right now?
Simulators, Yankee Trace has 3. Heatherwood has 1. Meadowbrook has 2. The driving range at Clear Creek Township, the driving range on 75 going south has 2. Sugar Valley has 1. NCR Country Club has 1. That's as far as my set.
And if you were gonna guess, how far in advance do they have to book to reserve?
I know in the winter time, all 3 of the simulators at Yankee Trace are busy. I mean, they're charging $30 per person per hour. So, I mean, if you have a group of 4 playing, that's $120 for an hour in the winter when the golf course probably is most of the time closed or it's too cold. So it would be worth it. It just depends on what's your ROI. And then where is it going to be located? And then the question is if we locate it in that small banquet room there, and you put it there, you then have to be committed to saying, this is the only rental space I've got. So your rental space, instead of going from 150, becomes 80, and that's it. Or you build an outside pavilion for outings, and then the outings go in there, and then you could have a 100-person outing outside and then in here. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the golf course note being paid off next year.
Mhm.
How many of the public golf courses in this area are paid off?
Heatherwood paid off their note last year, and Yankee paid off theirs 2 years ago. So we'll be, and Pipestone, I'm not sure, because Pipestone is kind of a strange entity because they're owned by the city of Miamisburg. The Mound, which is their 9-hole golf course, is managed by the city, but their championship golf course, Pipestone, is managed by a management group. So I'm not sure how that flows, but I know Heatherwood, Yankee are paid off and will be paid off. And that's kind of what, if you're going to compare apples to apples, I would compare us, Yankee and Heatherwood, as being the 3 major cities with public facilities. Yes, Rick.
Yeah, hey, Steve, I am so glad the note's paid off. I know Brian and I, as mayor, took a lot of hits about that from the public and defended this. And I want to thank you for your years.
You're welcome.
I'm on my 10th golf outing, campaign golf outing.
Yes.
And my first one was CCM, moved here, and you guys, you and Joe have taken great care of us.
You're welcome.
It's the atmosphere and the customer support that makes a difference. So,
Well, thank you.
and I plan on having many more of my own. By the way, it's June 10th. if anyone wants. Right here.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. Is that a happy bus? Is that a $5?
Steve will be out there at the driving range.
There we go.
Yeah, that's right. Don.
I'll take David's spot. That's $10.
No, I will say this, I'm very fortunate. I've been through 3 city managers. I'm on my 2nd financial director. I'm on my 13th of police. I'm on my 2nd planning director. And luckily, they're only on their 1st director of operations, so let's keep it that way, please.
You can talk bad about Pete, he's not here.
He's the LLC, he's my lower left corner signature on my check. Mr. Landrum treats me extremely well. And I'm not just saying that because he's a city manager. I've been very fortunate that the city managers I've had the opportunity to work with and the city council have all been extremely supportive of this facility, especially through hard times. I mean, there's always been a lot of questions asked about the golf course. Why is the city involved in the golf course? Why? But I truly believe that it is a tremendous asset to this city. It certainly increases, I think residents appreciate it, whether they play golf or not. I mean, a lot of people who don't even play golf, at least still come here and host baby showers, graduations. I've had 2 people this year alone who live in Beavercreek that don't play golf, but had their 2nd, 3rd baby showers. They just love to come here. So I love that they view this as an asset to their community. Yes, sir.
Well, down on number 2, there's 12 new targets for the tax collector.
Right.
At the beginning, and when they run that road down there, there's going to be probably 20 more houses looking down at number 2.
Yes. And it's in their HOA that the golf course is not liable for damages done to their homes.
Do you see the number of the screens on that
Yes.
house?
I saw that. It's crazy.
Steve, what about the banquets, Sunday banquets? How'd they do and are you continuing to do those
Well, the brunches and such are just banquets. So we're not doing brunches.
and all that?
No, and that is one of the things that we're potentially looking at. We may put out an RFP to have another company come in and manage and run the food and beverage side.
They were pretty popular.
And they were extremely popular. The fine line that you have to walk there is you're not gonna get a company that comes in just to do the food. They're gonna want the beverage side. Okay, so let's be honest, you make money on the alcohol and the sales. So this, if we do that, the city would have to be willing to give up their alcohol license and give it to that vendor, and then obviously get a percentage back. But saying that, if we made a $30,000 operational profit last year, if we do an RFP and put one out, that payment coming back to the city would have to exceed at least the 30,000 that we made last year. So you would have to be looking at a payment of somewhere between $30,000 and probably $50,000. And so I have been in contact with the city of Dayton because they do an RFP for their entire food and beverage operation. When I talked to the young lady over there, they put one out at the beginning of this year. They got 3 back. They threw out 2 and they ended up keeping the 1. And I asked her, how was the 1? And she's like, well, I had to pick somebody. So I don't know that they were too thrilled with who's in there, but at least we're gonna look at it. If it works for us and it's feasible for us and it makes financial sense to do it, we'll try it. And if not, then we'll continue to do it the way we are, or at least look up different avenues. But I can say, yeah, when I first got here in 2004, we did 35 to 37 weddings a year. And this year we're gonna do 5, and they're all in the month of October. And that's okay. Because on the golf side, it's busy. I mean, 90% of our revenue from this entire facility comes from the golf side. The other 10% comes from the food and beverage side. Yes, sir.
For that percentage, how much does your revenue cover just operating expenses?
In most years, the golf has always covered the operating expenses. The times that we've gotten to the point where we've lost money, a lot of it has been on the food and beverage side. Because you remember, we had $250,000+ in payroll and benefits, regardless of whether we had any events or not. So if we didn't have any events.
Yes, last year though, how much did your revenue cover the operating expenses?
Last year, we ended up, at the end of the year, we ended up with a $55,000 or $56,000 operational loss. That was it. And we would have broken even had we not have run into issues with the golf carts in late September and October, because a lot of them were dying. I mean, let's be honest, you had a 4-year fleet with 6 years on them. That was part of the reason that we had to replace all the batteries this year to get through because of the delays in the supply chain. So when you start limiting the amount of play, if we could have had that play, and then we found out early on that there was a shortage of Surlyn, which is what golf balls are made of. So because we had such a good year, we actually bought 2 years worth of range golf balls last year with the revenue that we had to make sure that we had new golf balls for this year moving forward. So we purchased 2,000 dozen golf balls last year at just under $20,000. So if you add that 20 back in, plus play, we probably would have broke even last year. But we laugh about that. But right now, Yankee Trace and Heatherwood and those places that didn't think outside the box and order those are all using old golf balls, and they're not very good. So you got a lot of people who are complaining going, I can't even hit any range balls. Or we were proactive and said, all right, we're going to go do it. We did it, allocated the money, got them in. And so there's 1,000 dozen range balls sitting down the maintenance building. So when we're busy, we have the range balls to do it. Yes, ma'am.
What you said, one group can go online and see the opening.
Yep, so anybody can actually go online and book the teach. So if you go to our website, it'll say book online. And then you can go in there, and once you set up your ID, you'll always be able to log in there, but it will always default you to a non-resident rate. So our non-resident rate during the weekday is 55. So if you're a resident of Beavercreek or a senior, which you're not, because you're definitely not over 50. You'll come into the shop, the boys will check you in and change. So let's just say that you are a senior. They'll change your rate from 55 to 39. Once they do that, When you go back online to book a tea time and it recognizes you, it'll automatically default you to 39. And so you'll always be able to see what tea times are available 7 days in advance. Now, if you're a pass holder here and you go online, you can see the calendar 14 days in advance because they get to make tea times 14 days ahead and the general public is 7.
So I don't know what that means.
So you can actually join this facility as a member for a fee. And then you get to make tea times 14 days in advance, whereas the general public, anyone who is not a pass holder or member, can only join 7 days in advance.
Are there any other benefits?
As a member, yes. So if you do it as an all-inclusive, then it takes care of your green fee, your cart fee, and the driving range. So that's unlimited golf balls for the year. You get a handicap in the service and when you play in events. And then you also get a 20% discount in the golf shop. Anybody else? Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, let's give another round of applause. She's assets Beavercreek for 18 years. That's pretty amazing. I barely keep friends that long, so awesome. We do have a book for you. It is not golf related, but it is Rabbit and the Bear, A Bite in the Night. That rhymed. So we're gonna have you sign this, and then we'll donate it to the Green County Library. Anything else for the good of the club? Shannon.
So you guys all see Scott Hadley up on the screen there. What you might not know is Scott is back in the hospital. He's battling pneumonia. It's been pretty serious and severe for a while. Scott does not have a computer, so Nancy logs on at the shop, calls Scott, and he listens to the meeting.
Wow.
Like I said, thoughts and prayers out to Scott and his family. They got a lot going on. So,
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Wow, that's pretty amazing that go the length to go to Rotary. So we're in your prayers, Scott. Thank you for joining today. Let's rise for the pledge.
One of our winners, Bill Mercurio, passed away. Prayers for his wife, Emma.
Bill Capario.
Mercurio.
Passed away. You want to lead us in the pledge, Steve?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.